Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing well. I just want to let you know, it is gone 7 o'clock and this is how sunny it is. So I was going to be like, woo, this is how sunny it is. This is how sunny it is. And I feel like everybody in the UK is a solid 20% happier and like letting themselves be fooled by full spring, because when the sun comes out, I come out. I swear to God, like I've been in hibernation. So I haven't made a YouTube video in like 2 months. Sorry about that. And I have been having a long hard think about what type of YouTube videos I want to make, because YouTube is my favorite social media. I love YouTube. But I guess like my issue has been whenever I'm like filming like my process, my day, sort of like my creative practice in general, I find myself going on a little like side quest tangent to kind of give more context and like just share more, which I still want to do. Like I still want to like share those things, but I feel like making like a monthly kind of show and tell sit down podcast situation, which is what we're doing this evening, would be better to do that rather than, so when I'm making like a more like active video as it were, and sort of like a showy video, I can just get down to business because I know this is like the context. And also like I don't think this is a unique idea. I actually love watching women with creative practices sort of sitting down and having a chat, whether that's about like inspiration or like materials or just like what they're up to, giving little life updates, and then having, I guess, more, as I said, like active videos. So I'm almost thinking about it as like, you know, like musicians will have like at festivals, they'll like do all the hits. That's going to be like other videos where they're a bit more like topic based, or I'm like showing a process or what have you. And then like you've come to the gig, you've come to the house show, and this is the deep cut. You're getting the deep cut. One of my friends did say that I should make a podcast. So Corey, you are welcome. Here you go. There is notes though, however. It's not just complete stream of consciousness. I put some paper into this. So, you know, she means business. So yeah, there is going to be vague structure. And as I said, I kind of want to do this like monthly. I want to come up with a quippy little title. Maybe I have thought of one already. Or maybe I haven't. If you can think of a quippy little title, let me know down below. Also, let me know how your March was. I would love to know. So I thought I would start with some updates. First and foremost, I have quit my job. I have worked at the same coffee shop for, well, the coffee shop chain. The one that you're thinking of is probably the one that it is. I've worked there for 15 years and for the longest time, because as you guys know, if you watched one of my previous videos, I am looking to apply for a master's this year. My grand plan was just kind of like ride it out, work there a few days a week, get my bills paid, and focus on my creative practice. Like that's where my sort of like energy will be. But because I've been there so long, I can do it in my sleep. But the longer I sort of was there and I really like thought about it, actually that's not what was available to me. I think when you've been somewhere so long, the expectations and the unpaid responsibility that is put on you is greater, you know, because people know that you know how to do it. And I think also this speaks to my work ethic. Like if I saw something being not done or done inefficiently, I couldn't just leave it alone. So actually the brain capacity that it was taken from me was a lot more than what I wanted it to be, essentially. So I've gone and got another coffee job. So I'm, you know, I haven't been a newbie since I was 16, but I'm excited. Like I'm looking forward to, you know, there being less responsibility on me, so I can just like go there, have fun. And like, this is the thing, like I like making coffee and talking to people. So whilst my creative practice doesn't fully 100% sustain me right now, I'm more than happy to, yeah, you know, just chill out, make some coffee, have a chinwag. Why not? Because also like, I've seen a lot of people who have exclusively creative practices talk about how if they're particularly like, whether they work from home or they have a studio that's by themselves, they don't really speak to everybody all day. And if you're a social person, which I am, I can see that being quite difficult for me. So at the moment, you know, as I said, I'm working towards applying for a master's and stuff. So that's a grand plan. That's not changed, but, you know, my day job has. I did do a market at the beginning of March. It was my first of the year. It went really well. It was inside 5 hours, so pretty chilling, which was like a nice ease back into markets. I haven't done one since last summer, actually. And yeah, it went really well. People were really lovely. A man was telling me about how his girlfriend has pet isopods, like pet bugs. And I'm like, cool. And he has pet fish, and I'm like, sounds like you guys are a match made in heaven. Depending on where you're at mentally, sometimes markets can feel like a bit of a hassle, dare I say, but this one went really nice. It was nice to catch up with people. Obviously I love like an online community, but I also think it's nice. I just do markets in the southwest, which is where I'm based, so it was in Bristol, which is where I live. And yeah, it went really well, and I would do that market again. I have also got quite a big commission on at the moment, and so it's a save the dates for a wedding, and because my clients want obviously their names, the dates, but also the venue, I am hesitant to share any of it. Again, like a few like colour swatches on my Instagram stories, but that's in part why I've been so quiet, because I'm making 48 of them. So it's quite a lot, like it's quite a big undertaking. It's 3 different colours, it's liner cut and screen printing. So it's quite a lot. I ultimately don't want to dox my clients. So that's also partly why I've not been able to really like share anything this month. I have this week off of work before I start my new job. So my plan is to like get that finished and get that done so I can get back to doing a bit more personal work. I just feel a little bit guilty like working on personal work when I've got such a big commission on at the same time. I did actually have another commission in February, which I can talk about. I made a single cover for my friend's band. The single's out now. I'll link it down below. But that's obviously like a completely different commission. In theory, I only had to print 1. I think I printed about 5 in the end, and sort of like scanned them all in. And I'm like, which one do you like? But obviously that's like a much smaller undertaking, but also it's a much quicker turnaround time. I think at some point I will talk about like, so like for example, for Oxblood Moon, which is the name of the band, I didn't make a deck for them, whereas for my clients for the Safe State I did. If you want to see a video on that type of thing, I do have a background in graphic design. That's what my degree is in, so I'd be more than happy to do like a more serious video talking about that if you fancied. But yeah, I guess those are my main updates really. I thought I'd do something a bit silly. I don't know how you feel about like ins and outs. Sometimes I feel like they're a bit icky. Maybe I'll think of a better quippy name for them. But I actually have one out, which is ignoring your instincts. I think there's a difference between impulses and instincts. Did you see that? Hold please. I think impulses and instincts, 2 different things. It's impulsive to like gamble your house on the football. That's not what I'm talking about. That's not an instinct, that's an impulse. But I think you know yourself, and I think you know what you want most of the time, even if it's hard or convoluted to get there. I think deep down you know what you want and know what you need to do, but giving yourself the time and the space to not ignore your instincts and act on them is important. And for ins, I actually have 3. So this is definitely more positive. Like and they're also not always going to be this fucking deep. if this is indeed that. In number 1, changing your mind. I think people, read myself, sometimes feel like you need to like stick to a decision that you've already made, but actually if it's not serving you anymore. I also think because of the internet, like I could turn up here and say like my favorite color is red, and then in a year's time be like my favorite color is blue, and somebody online might turn around like, well, I thought you said that your favourite colour was red. Are you lying then? Are you lying now? Neither. And like also literally nobody's ever had that conversation with me before in my life. But I feel like even like in your personal life, you could be like, oh, actually, I'm not as big of a fan of that anymore. You can change your mind. Things change. And I think changing your mind is a wonderful thing. So don't feel foolish if you either stop doing something that once served you or start doing something that you didn't think was cool or didn't think would serve you. You might surprise yourself. My next in is assessing the barrier to entry. Essentially, if you can make things easier for yourself, why don't you? Like, I think a great example is, say at the moment you're like, I don't know, really tired, like work's getting you down, and you have been skipping out on making yourself like nice dinners, like making yourself yummy teas that are nutritionally beneficial, right? And you hate chopping onions. If the barrier to entry is chopping the onion, as small as that may sound, buy yourself the pre-chopped onions. You know, I think sometimes people can be a bit like, oh, you're paying somebody to chop your food for you. But also, this is absolute tangent, and this is why it's in, you know, the Yap Fest. There are some people that have like dexterity and mobility issues, so that's actually really handy for them to live their lives independently. Anyway, but you can also take advantage of it too. Like you could be like, yeah, I will pay for the pre-chopped onions, so it's one less thing to worry about. I don't cry when I'm cooking. I don't hate it. And then you still get that delicious, nutritious meal. So, and then even if you go for a few bags of pre-chopped onions, you then might be like, okay, actually I'll go back to chopping onions. This is a fairly low stakes example, but I think all these small decisions in your life, if you can make things easier for yourself, you absolutely should. Why not, man? And last but certainly not least is moving your body. So I recently have got a PT. Whoa, crazy. Something I never thought I would say. Basically, a friend of a friend, well, she's also my friend too, is in a similar situation to me, but instead of printmaking, she does, she's a PT. So she works part-time in a coffee shop and then part-time does PT. And it was one of those things, I went actually to a hen do with her last year. I got talking to her, talking about where I was at with my fitness journey. And it's just like, what a great thing it is that you can move your body. Like, I know that I will not always be afforded this luxury, so why not take advantage of it? And I feel like with moving your body, if you don't use it, you lose it. And despite only being 31, like, I'm still a baby, but I can feel the changes in my body, and I'm at a point where I can still very much change things. So moving your body, babes, getting outside and having a walk in the sun is great. And I feel like I have been through, oh fuck, what's it called in Game of Thrones? Winter is coming, like the long winter. I feel like that has been my life for the past year. But now spring is here. Spring has sprung, my dudes. I feel like this is all like a bit disjointed because I'm just like reading off my list. But I have a show and tell section. So you may not know, I have been taking ceramics classes for 2 years now. They're like group classes. I can take like small photos on my phone, but I realistically can't like properly film in there. As much as I would love to, but instead I thought I would just show you some of my more recent pots. I don't know if I've shown one of these in a video or not, but this is my favourite. This is my favourite pot right now. I used a Cricut machine to get this barbed wire around it. I think it looks really cool. I do actually also have over there like a smaller pot, but it is exactly the same design where it just like goes around the side. And I'm really proud of this one. I'm really happy with like how clean it all came out. I don't know if you're able to see, like, it doesn't look like too bobbly or anything. I was really worried that it might be too thick or too thin, but worked perfectly. Loved it. Amaco have released some ceramic inks, and I am literally just laying in wait for them to come into stock. I have bought a screen to use for specifically ceramic inks. I've bought newsprint because what I'm going to do is I'm going to print them and then almost make like temporary tattoos. Like, I've seen that's a way that you can do it rather than printing straight onto the piece. Because obviously if it's like a curved surface, whilst it's not impossible, obviously it's easier, and it means that I can print all that at home as well. So I probably will show you that. I do have a couple stripe numbers. I do a lot of stripe pottery. I'm actually going to give this to my friend, and I'm going to plant her a little spider plant in there. I then have this one as well, just a little stripy guy. Most of my pottery is black and white. I did have some more of that grey that I used for the barbed wire. So here's a little zigzag guy. I'm big on tape. I think, again, it's my printmaking background. This one here is, I got this because in Japan, I got so many of the like gacha capsule toys. So I made a little shelf to hang them up on. I was thinking about putting, I got some little daramas, but it's a little bit too small. So I think I'm going to put like, I don't know, I've got so many. They're just over there. Like a pop on there, maybe like one of my lucky cats or something. Although I did obviously put the hole right here. I was too worried about putting it too high up because I didn't want it to crack. But the new issue that I have with putting it here is if I want to put it on a hook, that might be a bit more difficult. But anyway, we'll figure that one out. And then this one is in use, but I also made this little pot with the same sort of sun situation. I just literally drew this on Procreate and then made it on Cricut, which is super duper fun. But as I said, I'm waiting to do some ceramic ink printing. Another thing that I want to share is that I have been influenced. I got a Lamy Safari fountain pen. I know I've mentioned this many times on here. I do not have a sketchbook practice whatsoever. I am terrible at... I do sketch some stuff out, but I know I can flesh ideas out more. What's interesting is, speaking of those ceramic inks, I was doing Printer's Solstice, and in that, one of the prompts was cobalt, and I was looking at pottery. A lot of cobalt was used in, like, it's used in blue glazes even now, but like in Ming Dynasty pottery. And initially that's like kind of like where the prompt was going to go. And then because those, and I was then going to actually print it on the pot as well. I was going to make a lino cut and then I was going to print it on the pot. And that's kind of where like the idea started. But actually me having to wait for these inks to come back in stock, I've kind of like fleshed the idea out more in my head. So my parents have 2 vases in their dining room that they've had as long as I can remember. And it got me thinking about family heirlooms and how modern day will we have like nice quality family heirlooms, because everything's so much more like mass produced and cheaper to make and cheaper to buy, but like also like Cosy Lives babes. Does everybody have the money to buy nice pottery or what have you? So in my mind, I'm making my own family heirloom in making this pot, and I'm going to do it based on designs of these 2 pots that my parents have at their house. So what went from like a simple idea has like become a bit more fleshed out. And so I feel like how this links back to having a sketchbook practice and why I bought myself a nice lovely little pen, which is also what I wrote these notes in. I went for green ink and I did also get some red ink as well. I thought like, you know, a little bit of novelty, buy myself a nice little pen, and I'll be able, you know, even if it's ugly, even if I don't share it online, even if I hate it, I think ultimately it would lead to more fine artwork. Dare I say that I want to make fine art? I feel like I've got really like conflicting views about like where I'd want my work to be shown and how I'd want it to be shown. That's a story for another time. Long story short, bought a pen. Lastly, what I wanted to do is show you some books. Again, I guess as soon as I continue this series and make this more monthly, I do want to make a music playlist every month as well, which I haven't made for this video, but next video I'll make a playlist. Spoiler alert, I'm a millennial emo, an elder emo, if you will. Still very much living that life. Like, look at me. Look at me. So it'll be in that vein, but still, like, I love music and listen to music. And one thing I've really been wanting to do is get back into reading. With me and reading, if I like really like a book, I will like devour it quickly. If I don't, I'll drag my heels. I feel like it's a really good like solo pleasure activity. That sounds rude, but you know what I'm trying to say. That isn't scrolling on my phone. That isn't staring into a screen, which, as I said, like, I'm literally talking on social media right now. Like, don't think I don't understand that. But I think to like unwind and like read some books, and like also like if I'm on my lunch break at work, I just like go on my phone. 10-20 minutes is gone and now I'm back to work. So I'd rather like squeeze in a little bit of joy wherever I can. Again, we're lowering the barrier to entry and we're reading books. So I placed an order on World of Books, big lover of World of Books. Actually, this one I didn't get from World of Books, but I just want to show it to you because I'm judging a book. I'm not judging a book by a cover. It's Sylvia Plath. Like, and this is poetry. And again, thinking the barrier to entry, small little book, poetry book, read a couple poems, away we go. I've never read Ariel, but look at this gorgeousness. If it's not actually lino, it's definitely lino influenced. I don't know who the illustration is. Sarah Young, the back says, but I also wanted to show you, I don't know what these pages are called. They're like inner pages where they're usually always patterned. Like, I don't know if you're able, if I really go in, are you able to see? I mean, I think it has been made digitally. What I really like about it is almost like a folk quilt, which last year I was really like inspired by like American folk art, including folk quilts. So I really like the repetition of it, but also I really like the texture of it as well. It reminds me of lino. As I said, I don't know if it actually is. Either way, doesn't matter. I thought it was really cool. But those weren't the books I got from World of Books. So World of Books at the moment is having a buy 3 get the 4th free sale. What started me on this journey is I wanted a book which you can get on Waterstones, but it is quite expensive. It's £22.50, which is like a spenny book. Is this book, which is called Caps Lock: How Capitalism Took Hold of Graphic Design and How to Escape from It. It's got pictures and everything. It's all colour printed. It's a chonky boy, but as I said, it has got pictures and stuff in. So to kind of, I guess, illustrate what they're talking about. This is the book that I wanted to read, and I got it on Water Books, still for £18, so it still was quite, up there in price. I like how they included the barcode on the front as well. As I said, my background's in graphic design initially, although I have moved into printmaking. That just feels more natural to me, and I think in part this is like a perfect explanation as to why. I really want to indulge in my creative practice and be selfish and make what I want and make what speaks to me, rather than make something for a corporation that I don't care about or a cause that I don't care about. Obviously, I've just mentioned at the beginning of this video that I've taken on 2 commissions, but they're for people that I know, people that I care about. I like my friend's band, so I'm happy to have my artwork associated with that. And the couple that I'm making these save the dates for, they're really good friends of mine, so I want to be picky. So I feel that's in part why I haven't wholeheartedly pursued graphic design. I did also graduate in 2020 though, so and since then has, AI. The thing is, this is a conversation for another time and maybe another monthly note, but I'm not too worried about AI. But I can understand you being exclusively a graphic designer. There will be some people that will cheap out and pay nothing and steal intellectual property and make their logo from it, but it will look like shit. And I would like to think if people had the capacity to shop somewhere else, they'd probably be like, that looks spooky as hell. Anyway, so as I mentioned, that's what I went on there for, but then I did end up buying 4 other books. One of them hasn't turned up, so this all came in one order today actually, but the other one was The Testaments by Margaret Atwood. I don't know why I can't talk. I've been talking for half an hour, that's probably why. The Testaments by Margaret Atwood, which is the sequel to Handmaid's Tale. Funnily enough, when I have been doing my workouts, I've been using the Handmaid's Tale to raise my heels so I can get a deeper squat, and I'm like, wow, nice. Considering the state of the world, nice. So I got that. That's on its way. It should be getting here on Wednesday, and today is Monday. But then I also got 3 other books that I wanted to share with you. I got 2 Emma Cline books. I've already read The Girls. It's one of my favourite books, actually. The Girls is about, I guess it's like a fictional tale, but it's based on the Manson family and the women that were part of the Manson family. And I just think it did a really good job of illustrating the teenage girl experience. I was not a member, shocking to hear, I'm sure, I was not a member of the Manson family. I was not alive in the 60s, but there were lots of things that the main character was talking about that I could really relate to. So I really liked her writing. Anyway, so she's only got 2 other books. One of them is called Daddy. Cool. And this seems to follow 2 different people. But yeah, as I said, I really enjoyed her writing. I found it really easy to read. Again, with assessing the barrier to entry. Do you know what? I chatted to my friend. One of my friends loves reading absolute fucking trash. And she'll mix it up. She'll do a little bit of trash, a little bit more culture. And this is what I said to her. I was like, listen, if that's what gets you in the space of making time to read, sprinkle in a little bit of trash. Who gives a shit? You want to read 50 Shades of Grey? Get involved, girl. Why the devil not? It's kind of flexing that muscle and building that habit. I know I like Emma Cline's writing, so I got that one. Keep in mind, so that book was £3.50. This one was £3.70. Hardback, signed copy. I'm like, okay. But yeah, so this is The Guest, which I think is her latest book. Unsure when it was released. But anyway, so I thought I would give those 2 a go as well. And then last but not least, I did also get another printmaking book. This is Practical Printmaking. I don't actually know anything about it, but what I do love is whoever had this beforehand clearly used this. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you. They clearly used it to cut something, because the back here has a big slit down the back. So I love that this was clearly somewhere where printmaking was happening and somebody was cutting something up and sliced the back of the book. But anyway, it's just the overleaf. It's not anything else. I know nothing about this book. I literally just searched printmaking and this was part of the deal. So I got it. Last but not least, I wanted to kind of give you my monthly focus. What am I focusing? What am I doing this month? Maybe you'll see it in videos. Maybe we'll talk about it next month. Who knows? So I have 4 4 focuses for this month. Number 1 is finishing that commission that I mentioned. I'm hoping to get that done this week. I have 2 other pieces. As I mentioned, that cobalt prompt piece, I want to finish that off. I've only just done some like very loose sketches of it. I want to actually go lol to my parents' house and take some pictures of the vases that I'm on about. There's also a piece of a rabbit that I want to do again. I think I'm going to like film that whole process maybe and talk a bit more about that in its own dedicated video. And then also do a shop update. I have made actually like a good amount this year, but I've not updated my website. I hope you are having a fabulous day, whatever you are doing. Let me know how your March was. Let me know what you're planning on doing this April. And I look forward to hearing from you again soon. Bye!